Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Fall Festival of Music.
Hooray! Fall Festival of Music.
Presented by the Oshawa Civic Band, who you see here, and the resident choir here at St. George's Memorial. My name is Carmine Lappano. I'm the director of music here, and Rita Arendz is joining me here, who's the director of the OCB. We're going to get started for you in just a moment, but before we do, I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you for being here. It's great that you're here with us, and you're going to enjoy this evening's program. You're going to hear a variety of different styles of music, not only from the band, but from the choir. We tried to keep things versatile for you to kind of, scratch that itch for any of you that have a particular style of music that you're interested in. So we hope you enjoy that. There's not going to be an intermission, so if you feel like you need to use the facilities, there's a washroom down to the back of the church that way and also to the other side. Feel free to do what you need to do at any time. And I'm going to hand it over to Rita with the OCB. Give them a big round of applause, everyone. All right, so in addition to hearing a couple of collaborative efforts, of which you heard the first one, Jesu Joy of Man's Desiring, the beautiful choral anthem with chorale by J.S. Bach that I'm sure you've heard before, and a very difficult play for the band and played very, very well, an easy sing for the choir. So we'll try to do something a little more challenging now for you. And just to let you know a little bit about our choir, if you're new to this church, this choir here is the resident choir that provides weekly service music for our services on the Sunday mornings, but we also do a lot of other things. There's extra services, there's concerts like you're seeing this evening. Back in the day, this choir used to go to England to be resident choirs at some of the big churches out in England. So they are very seasoned, very veteran. They know what to do. They've done it a lot, and you're going to hear a nice versatility of different styles of pieces, starting with a piece that's a Renaissance piece by William Byrd. Now, William Byrd was an English composer, and he was, let's say, one of the giants, certainly was one of the top three, along with Tallis and the Italian Palestrina, that would write beautiful homophonic music and polyphonic music, sometimes within the same piece. Now, homophonic music is when you have the choral parts all working pretty much together, like this first piece you're going to hear, Ave Verum Corpus, is in Latin. Later on, you're going to hear another version of Ave Verum Corpus by Mozart, so a different era, a classical piece. But this one's set in the Renaissance, more stylistic to this homophony and polyphony, where you have the chords being sung together in multiple parts by the choir, by the sopranos, altos, tenor, and bass, and you'll hear them moving together in tandem. But then there's times when there's lines that are being sung by individual parts, then staggered entries by others that create this beautiful counterpoint, and that's what we know as polyphony. And it's very stylistic of that time, and Byrd was certainly one of the masters of this very beautiful style of writing. So we're going to hear that. And then the second piece we're going to sing is a beautiful Canadian composer, Stephen Hatfield, who is from BC, and his music, being contemporary, has a different flavor to it, a different feel, different style, but still beautiful, especially in this space. We're very lucky to be able to sing here. The acoustic is lovely, especially from this area here in front of the chancel. So this particular piece is very mystical, ethereal, called When the Stars Fall, and it's so beautiful, and we hope you enjoy it. Thank you very much.
Can you hear me? Okay, I got a nod from the back. That's good. If anybody knows me, I hate microphones. But anyway, I'll use it. So that was gorgeous. Both of those are I like that one from the BC gentleman composer. Well, we're going to go back across the pond for our next composer. Just like you have mainstays in orchestras as to the composers that really set up what an orchestra should be, what a symphony should sound like. In the wind band, we had sort of Vaughan Williams, we had Holst, that were sort of the keystones, the major composers who really put the instrumentation and the writing for those particular instrumentations on the map. We have another one in the brass bands that sort of solidified a lot of things, because when brass bands first existed in the late 1800s, it was a little bit of an inconsistency of instrumentation. It was also lots of transcriptions from everything else. So Eric Ball was one of those people that are considered the mainstays when it comes to writing for brass band. So we thought, since it's the month of October, we're supposed to be having festivities, because a festival is also some fun stuff. We thought we would do his Symphonic March October Festival. to a French composer, Joseph Cosma. This was written at the end of the Second World War, and the French title is the Dead Leaves. My French isn't working tonight. The Dead Leaves. But unfortunately, that doesn't translate very well into English. So it was in 1950 that Johnny Mercer decided to write some English words. It's not a direct transcription. We know it now as Autumn Leaves. It's become basically a commercial standard. There's over 1,000 recordings of it in place. It actually comes from his ballet music, The Rendezvous. So it was part of that, and then they pulled it out separately, which actually, if you go back far enough in history, turns around and reflects on the poem Number 4 by Jules Massenet, which actually then turns around and goes even further back and reflects on Tchaikovsky's 1888 Hamlet Overture and Fantasia. So it's got a long pedigree to become the chart that we now know as Autumn Leaves.
What a treat it is to have such a fantastic band filling this space with such beautiful music. Give them another round of applause, please, everyone. Thank you all very much for that. Thank you. So the St. George's Choir is going to sing a couple of more selections for you. Getting back to what I was saying earlier about our role here as a very important part of worship and using music for that worship is to elevate congregants, parishioners' experience of prayer to something that words cannot do the same way. We know that the power of music is very, very deep for us all. And it certainly is for myself, and I hope if I can speak on behalf of all the choir members, this is why we do what it is that we do. Because our faith that we have is all sung through, or at least it comes through the music. That's the connection that I know I have through my faith, is because I've been given this gift of music, and I'm very, very privileged to have it and to share it with them, and then in turn with you. So this next piece that we have is a perfect example of this. It's an American composer named Kinley Lang. The piece is called Esto Les Digo. It's in Spanish. Don't worry, you don't need to know what's Spanish, but what it all means. It's all on the back. You'll see that the translations are there. And I encourage you to take a listen so you can see exactly what it is that we're singing. There's a beautiful solo at the end that Shelley's going to sing for us, so we thank her for that. And then we're going to give, actually, I'll speak to you after this. Let's sing that one first, and then I'll explain the next one after that. So here is Esto Les Digo. So as you can see in this space, now we've heard the choir, we've heard the brass band, such a beautiful sound from them, and there's another thing we're going to hear, and it's located in this area of the building. You see these pipes. Many of you who are regulars here know about this, but in case you're new here, we have one of the finest Cassavant organs in probably in Ontario, much less in Durham region, and the sad reality, though, if there is one, is that they're expensive to maintain and keep up. And so we're in the middle of a restoration project in which there's just some work that needs to happen to some components that are underneath the 2,500 pipes that there are. Now, we've already had a couple of phases, and we're looking at a couple more. And if there's any way, and there's a little box in the back of the church that says organ restoration. If there's any way that you guys can find it within your hearts to help us with that, we'd really appreciate that. And also for the offset of the cost of this performance, this concert this evening with the OCB and the St. George's Memorial Choir, whatever you can do is really appreciated. But we're going to get to hear the organ played now. Johan's going to play that for us as we sing a piece by the British composer named John Rutter. And maybe there's a little bells that are going to be in there as well, as you can hear. John Rutter is a fantastic choral composer. Well, he's written a lot of music for other instruments as well, but he's mainly known for his choral compositions. In particular, his Christmas carols, of which he's written very, very many that are fantastic and sung all over the world. And also these beautiful blessings. This is one of my favorites. It's called a Clare Benediction. He wrote it for Clare College, and it's a lovely one. It's very, very simple. We thought this would be a beautiful way for us to give you a blessing as you listen to it in song. So here is a Clare Benediction by John Rutter.
Presence be
So music is inspiring for all, and you don't want to hear me sing, so I don't sing. I play instruments or I conduct, and I think most of the people in the band would say you wouldn't want to hear them sing either. So kudos to the choir for using your natural voices or your natural instruments, whereas we have to use all the hardware stuff. We're going to move, from our program perspective, we're going to move to basically the 21st century. There's a young composer out of the UK, Ben Hollings, who wrote a quartet for the Eminence Brass. He later, then, in about, I'm a little bit off on my dates, but somewhere in 2015, 2016, he was asked by David Childs and Philip Cobb to arrange it as a duet for cornet and euphonium with the band as an accompaniment. So if you can imagine trying to expand 4 parts into 20, it doesn't always work, but he did a wonderful job with this. He's trying to keep a lyrical singing style, and it tells a tale of a short musical story where the interweaving of the musical lines, you can hear them as they go between the parts. So this is called novella. So we'd like to present to you Ben Hollings' novella for cornet. You're on this side for me. Brendan, and euphonium, Fred. Thank you. November 2024 comes around, and nothing really materialized between that. And then all of a sudden, they were going through, was it the East Wall renovation?
Well, eventually all of the
Yeah,
sanctuary was
so
closed down.
the church was actually closed, I believe, this spring and
A
summer.
few months, yeah.
So it was like, oh my gosh, okay, maybe it might happen in 2026, but we managed to get it off the ground in relatively short order, which was kudos to everybody behind the scenes to make this happen this evening. So we thank you and my choir for having us here. We really enjoyed it. We loved the space. Yes, acoustically it's gorgeous. Very different than our band room. But thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate it. Our segment is going to close with another chart that is original, which is kind of difficult sometimes in band repertoire. You tend to want to play the golden oldies, as we call it, so it tends to be transcriptions. But this one was written by Malcolm Arnold. Malcolm Arnold was one of these composers who could very easily write for any genre of music. He could do orchestral work, he could do opera, he could do wind band, he could do brass band. String ensembles, like he just had the whole gambit of types of repertoire that he performed or wrote for. This one was the first of three of the little suites for brass. So it's in three parts. There's a little prelude, there's a Siciliano, like a lullaby, and then it closes with a rondo. And a rondo is a form where you have it going around and it comes back. It goes in a round. So you get maybe A, B, comes back to A, does something else, comes back to A. So it's a nice little, short for Arnold, little piece called the Little Suite for Brass. And if you want to be specific, it's Opus 80. Oh, I didn't use the microphone. Do I need to repeat that? No.
Oh, well, that was so wonderful. Thank you very much, Oshawa Civic Concert Band and, Oshawa Civic Band and Rita. It's just, again, it's such a pleasure to hear such fine playing in these walls. Before we go, we're gonna sing another piece for you, as you can see in the program. I wanted to just mention a couple things before we do. First of all, again, thank you for being here and sharing this evening with us. We love to make music. I can speak on behalf of everyone who's in front of you. And it's even nicer when we get to share it with people who are enjoying it. So thank you for that. We also want, just a couple words about the Ave Verum. We already heard a setting of this beautiful Eucharistic prayer earlier when the choir sang the William Byrd setting. Now we're going to hear a setting by, maybe you've heard of this composer, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. He's kind of well known. And one of the things about Mozart that many of you might know is that he was a child prodigy, but sadly he did not live very long. He died at 35. It's almost like it was meant to be. God gave him the talent and the gifts to start writing really early so he can get a lot of writing done, which he did. This particular anthem or choral motet really should be considered, although there is organ accompaniment, was written near the end of his life, and there's a story that says that he actually had it sung by some of his friends around his deathbed. I don't know how true that is, but it's a great story, so it's nice to think of it that way. And Rita, I want to say thank you to you for arranging this for the band to be able to play with us, and also for the Jesu Joy at the beginning of the program as well, as I know that's a lot of work. I've done it myself a million times at school. And another thing I'll say before we get to sing this for you is that it's great to collaborate with the band and to sing with them. And because we don't get to sing with brass bands often, and I'm assuming that you guys don't get to play with choirs all that often. So this is it's a nice experience for all of us. And I'm telling you the truth, there's not a single band member that said, geez, I wish they would sing louder. And there's not a single choral member that said, geez, I wish they would play softer. They may have thought that, but no one said it. So let's just see how it all goes, but I'm sure it's going to be beautiful. So thank you again for being here with us, and here we go with the final piece of the program, Mozart's Ave Verum. Thanks again, everyone. And on your way out, there's a box. There's a box, and it's just right to the side there when you're leaving the back of the church. In case your pocket has something in it, we'd love to take it. I'm just kidding. Thank you very, very much, guys. Thank you, and safe drive back. Thank you again, Rita. Thank you, everyone. Cheers. Have a great night, everyone.